This is Diane, and welcome to Biters.
Hey, hey.
And
What?
who are
And
you?
I'm Marnell. I'm the sixth toe today. I'm the third wheel.
Yeah. And this is Brian, your zombified 30-something, as always. I'm just all over the place. A little goofy, a little wiry.
So we
It's
thought
Halloween.
Right. Happy Halloween, everybody.
And just for everyone, we're all going to talk over each other, so this will be interesting.
So, are you still dressed as Negan?
Somewhat, yes.
Awesome. Brian, are you in a costume?
I am not. I am in Jesus, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm in like a Star Wars shirt.
What are you wearing, bro?
Yeah, I was confused. I didn't know if this was the Penthouse Forums or if this was Biters. I didn't know what podcast I was on for a second.
Oh my God.
I was all self-conscious and covering myself up.
I am going to be so in trouble with you two.
It's not the swearing they're going to have to bleep out of this episode.
So as you can see, everyone, I selfishly really liked having my little sister along for the ride, so Marnell is joining us for this week, and maybe I'm thinking from here on out, we'll see what everybody thinks, including Marnell.
Let me tag along with my older, cooler sister.
So this week we are reviewing The Well. And it sounds like we were talking before we started recording, and we have some pretty diverse opinions. So, Brian, why don't you go first and tell us how you rated it?
I rated this a 2.5 Aikido chops out of 5. This episode made me want to just rage out and shut the TV off. Like, DVR it, but hold it for like another 3 or 4 weeks, then watch it. Like, that's what this episode was doing to me.
Binge it with the next 3 episodes.
Yeah, it was, for me, this episode was definitely out of place.
And if you're listening, you're already probably too late and you've seen it.
Yeah. Yes. Just, for me, how in the hell do you come off of last week and then throw up this? I know they want, you need an emotional recovery time. No, I don't. I literally waited 5 months to watch 2 people get their skulls bashed in. I want to know what happens when you get home now. I don't want to have to sit and wait through Carol and Morgan. To me, they are not the story that anybody wants to see right now.
This was Glenn stuck under the dumpster for you, where we went that episode where we were like, what happened to Glenn? Like, they just didn't even mention it that entire next episode. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Okay, Miss Switzerland, how do you rate it?
I actually rated it at 3.2 slaughtered pigs. I didn't think it was great, but I didn't think it was bad. It's just, I mean, how do you come off of the season premiere episode? I mean, where do you go from there? And if you're Brian, you go straight back to our main group, but you know, they had to introduce the kingdom and Ezekiel and Shiva, and so we this was a middle book. If you read any books that come in, you know, 3 like The Hunger Games or even Feed by Mira Grant, which is a great book we keep plugging. Any of those books, middle books are always really slow. It's setting, you know, it's kind of rehashing the first book and setting up the next book, you know, the last book. So this was definitely a middle book episode. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. So,
but here's my caveat to that. Out of all the Facebook posts you've seen over the last week, did you ever see one that said, gosh, I really wonder what Carol and Morgan are up to right now?
No.
Well, I am covering my face, and I don't know if it's horror or embarrassment or shame or what, but I gave it 5 out of 5 dreadlocked kings.
Holy cow, you were smitten with love.
I loved it. You know,
Okay,
Kirkman and Gimple said it was a palate cleanser, and I just loved it. I am so on board with Ezekiel. I so enjoyed this episode, and it made me feel so good to actually laugh out loud during an episode of The Walking Dead.
Wow, a 5. You rated 2 5s. Where did this season go?
You're on the payroll, aren't you? You're fired.
Chris Hardwick is my secret plant.
Apparently.
Well, so...
You want to give us the numbers?
I was the 5 out of 5, so we're going to have an interesting conversation tonight, I think. No, you're supposed to go wrong.
Wrong. Okay, well, you tell us the live numbers and the director. I'm going to take a nap, and when you guys are ready to argue, let me know.
Okay, so...
Well, so do we want to rehash episode 1's ratings?
Yeah, so we don't have numbers for this episode. We'll have those next week. But I did get the numbers. I have to be honest, I stole them from one of the other Walking Dead podcasts I listened to. Not sure if it was the guys out of Canada who are the Talking Dead cast or if it was Jason and Karen at the Walking Dead cast. But thank you to whomever was my source of the numbers. So it was 17 million same-day views.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Rivaled only by the season 5 premiere at Terminus. That was 17.3 million.
It'll be very curious to see if it drops down to like 10.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean as the season goes on?
Well, just this next episode.
Yeah.
How many people turned in just to see who died and are now turning it off?
Well, and there is
to rehash Diane's argument from last time, her bad, which was all of these people who were like, this is way too violent. And we're all like, you're bad.
You're an idiot. Yeah. I completely agree with you guys.
All on the same page as far as that goes.
Stop ruining my fun. Change the channel.
So I also had the Live Plus 3 numbers. So Live Plus 3, 20.8 million views. And again, only rivaled by Season 5 premiere, which was slightly over 22 million views in Live Plus 3. So
nice.
Pretty impressive numbers.
That is. Of course, one in its time slot. Talking Dead, also number 1 in its time slot.
Right. And actually, Brian, did you watch Talking Dead after last episode?
No, I did not.
It was pretty fun. And they filmed from the... Oh, God, what cemetery was it in Hollywood?
Yeah, I seen they had everybody out and like on the lawn and all that stuff.
Right.
And it rained because the heavens were crying for Glenn.
But you know what's pretty cool? I have to give a shout out to Karen at the Walking Dead cast. I don't know if they listen to us or not, but she's an environmental specialist and like a water specialist in California. So I totally thought of her because they've had such a terrible drought for so long that to have it rain on the day when she lost her favorite character, that was pretty cool.
That is interesting.
So the title is The Well, and Ezekiel says, drink from the well, replenish the well. So I felt like we had a pretty straightforward title. Anybody have anything? No? As in you think it's not straightforward, or you don't have anything to add?
I think there's a dual meaning to it. The straightforward one, which is what Ezekiel says about drinking from the well, you must replenish the well. But also, we look at the two characters that we rejoin this episode. Carol, who is just empty. She's ready to give it all up. Her well is empty, and she just kind of wants to be on her own to pretty much die. I mean, I don't even think live or die. I think Carol is just like ready to lay down in the street and die. And Morgan, whose well isn't so quite as empty, but I think that he's getting there and he knows it. And I think that he sees in Kingdom the replenishment of his well. And I think that him going all Mr. Miyagi on... was it Ben? I think Benjamin.
Yeah. Benjamin, yep.
Yeah, I think the Karate Kid scenes with them, that I think that is really going to help replenish Morgan's well. I think that's gonna he's going to be able to do for Ben what the cheesemaker did for him. He's going to be able to, kind of teach him a path in this crazy world.
You think so, huh?
I do.
Okay, let's table that for Rotten Potpourri. I'm making a note.
Okay.
Brian thinks he's going to die, don't you, Brian?
I think Morgan is forever cursed.
So I just wanted to say that I think there's a third meaning to the well, which is that drink from the well, replenish the well. For those of us who were 5 out of 5 totally on board with this episode, our well was replenished. So I'm sorry for you
Your
guys.
emotional
but
bucket?
My emotional bucket is full.
Good Lord.
Talk about the cheese maker.
So just real quick, also Matthew Negrete, however you say his name, was our writer tonight or last night. We've all talked about him before. Greg Nicotero once again directed, so he was back to back with last episode and this one. And I just wanted to say it's nice to see the range. It was fun to see Greg Nicotero direct something that was totally a one-off and kind of comical. So totally on board.
Yeah, I can see how they call this a palate cleanser, but I think that, people like Brian and I really did need our palates cleansed. We were ready for more blood.
That's because you watch Nightmare on Elm Street every week, and you watch... What did you tell me you were watching to calm down?
Clockwork Orange.
Brian, if you weren't married, I would fix the two of you up, politics and all.
Oh, good Lord. No, I will never get over the fact that to me, this was just the same effect as how we ended last season. How do you do that? How do you just go, okay, you just watch this happen. All the discussion is, oh my God, what's going to happen when they get back to Alexandria? How is this going to work out? Like, never mind. You're going to have to wait it out.
So my big question on that is, so Carol was asleep for 2 days. Because we basically, I think what happened with Morgan and Carol kind of around the Kingdom-y stuff kind of happened over what happened last episode with Negan and our crew. But then Carol slept for 2 days and they go a whole other day and into the night. Oh, I guess into the next day too. So are we going to rejoin Rick's group 3 days later, or are we going to...
I bet you we go right back to... I bet you we pick up where... Well, maybe not, because the previews showed...
everybody all clean and stuff.
Yeah, and like Negan knocking on the door.
Yeah. Yeah, so Brian might be up for another letdown.
Oh man, Brian's getting ready to bail on us. The Walking Dead jumped the shark.
I told you, if he's around through the entire season into next, that's it.
I'm reserving judgment on that. We'll see what you say at the end of the season. I'm not letting you off that easy.
I just don't want another governor. I don't care how cool Negan is.
I don't know that we're going to have another governor. I don't want to get deeply into the comic book world, but I don't know that we're going to have another governor.
Yeah, I don't think that Negan is going to survive into the next season. That may be our cliffhanger. I don't think it's, but I think he'll be felt for seasons to come, he will have
wrong.
So wrong. I think Negan will have made his mark, though. I mean, literally and figuratively, I think that, our group will never be the same. And the other groups, I mean, Kingdom and the Hilltop, is that the Hill or the Hilltop? Yeah, one of those. I don't think anyone will be the same after Negan.
Okay, so remind me, you guys, for Rotting Potpourri, how does the group reconnect? How do Carol and Morgan reconnect with our group? So just kind of table that too, okay?
Via Jesus. Okay.
Okay.
So just real quick, because I'm now completely in love with Ezekiel in the worst possible way, just wanted to talk briefly about Khary Payton, who is the guy who played Ezekiel.
Yes.
He's bald.
I know!
Well, what's her name's dreads are fake too, so.
Right, Michonne,
yes.
Well, and Khary Payton actually said on The Talking Dead that he shaved his head because he didn't want to have more hair underneath Ezekiel's dreads because they're filming in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's so freaking hot.
Totally good point.
But he's a homeboy. He was born in Augusta, Georgia, so that's kind of cool.
Nice.
And
he's not a Brit.
He's not a Brit. You know, and he was joking, actually. He put on a fake British accent on The Talking Dead just to kind of play with people. It was funny. The thing that I thought was really cool is that he has tons of voice work. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't have... This is kind of his breakthrough as far as TV goes. He's had small roles like, you know, a detective
Criminal
who's
Minds.
got 5 minutes on screen on CSI or something like that.
Yeah.
But most of his stuff is doing voiceover in, like, comic book stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I wanted to say, so he played Luke Cage in some episodes of, I think, Justice League. I'm probably totally screwing it up. I was just looking through his IMDb earlier today. And let's see, who else did he voice over? He voiced over a couple of other names that I recognized from reading DC. And then he also did a lot of voiceover for the Transformers TV show, comics. Cartoon. Wow, that's the word I'm looking for.
Good Lord, lady.
I know, I'm struggling, man. But anyway, so he doesn't have a ton of TV credit, and I just think it's really interesting that we'll see him kind of blossom here.
Yeah. What a role to step into.
No doubt.
Way to make your debut. I mean, Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan. I mean, everyone knows Jeffrey Dean Morgan from something, but you know, I don't think any of us know
Kari.
Ezekiel from anything. So
let's do it, ladies.
All right.
Let's do this.
So do you want to do your good first? Because it's going to be such a struggle for you, Brian.
Yeah, mine is actually pretty quick.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
I'm so surprised.
I did like the idea of, you know, the hogs. So if you're not familiar with hogs, or especially wild boars,
right.
This is exactly how they are. They are feral, disgusting, aggressive, mean nuisances. They will kill a human. They will kill cattle. They will do whatever it takes to eat. I mean, they are ridiculous. So, especially down south, where they do tend to have problems, and they have, you know, hog seasons where you can go kill as many hogs as you can, and that's a whole thing down there because they destroy a lot of cropland and stuff like that. So, to see that real world issue being brought into The Walking Dead, and they're saying, look, they've overrun parts of the city. I think that was very cool on how that worked because they don't need a lot of habitat. They're scavengers. They can breed quickly. So that kind of 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days for gestation of a hog, just in case you're wondering. So that was really cool to see that. And then the fact that they were letting them eat the dead to fill them up on rotten flesh to get them fat. And that was a neat little twist to give it to Negan.
Those guys to Negan. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny that you should mention that as you're good and talk about the gestation and how these feral hogs are. The nuclear plant in Japan, Fukushima. Yes. So apparently in the surrounding areas that have been evacuated, they are being overrun by these kind of wild hogs that are, you know, they breed quickly and they will eat anything. And unfortunately, because they're in a radioactive area, they're spreading out and they are radioactive. And so it's open season on them, and you can go kill as many as you want, but you can't do anything with the meat because it's radioactive. It's poison. So, I mean, that's just, we kind of see that in the real world now, how, you know, if society were to break down, you know, this kind of thing would happen. And that's super interesting.
That is crazy. That's the start of the zombie apocalypse, the radioactive pigs in Japan.
Could be.
Well, so I think it's interesting that you brought that up, Brian, because the only other time we saw kind of feral animals that have roamed in packs were those dogs. Were they in season 4? When they were when our group was really starving and they ended up eating those dogs?
Yeah, they just met the preacher.
Yeah. And I actually think that's here we go, kind of a fail. It's not my fail, but it's kind of a fail on the part of The Walking Dead because I do think we would see more animals than just horses. No, it's never a good thing to be a horse on The Walking Dead.
And squirrels that Daryl shoots.
Right. But I think we'd see more feral animals and more animals kind of behaving in packs than up until now. So I do think it's kind of cool that they brought the pigs into it. And I loved the image of the people from the kingdom herding the pigs, because that was really such a scene out of a medieval hunt. It was really kind of cool.
Yeah. I kind of go back and forth with the whole animal issue because of, the walkers. Aren't they going to eat most of whatever they can? I guess they would probably, roll over a herd of cows like locusts.
You've never tried to catch a pig, have you?
We live in Alaska, remember?
But we do, our animals do kind of get used to humans, and there are idiot people who try to go up and pet a moose. And so you can get close to some animals, and I guess others do still have a fear of humans or fear of the unknown. I don't know how much of that you would see and how much you would definitely have smaller, quicker animals that would survive, like squirrels or mice or birds or things like that.
Well, but here's the thing that I think about that, Marnell. So most of our walkers are slow. We live in the world of slow walkers unless somebody's really breaking character. And a lot of these animals are going to be fast and agile, and they're going to be able to outrun walkers unless you have a big horde.
Yeah. If you get cornered, or if they're sick or injured or giving birth or babies, or there's all kinds of there. I don't think they would decimate a population of deer or anything, but it might keep the population kind of low. I can't see tons of large animals wandering around as long as we still have a ton of walkers walking around. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, who's good's next here?
Right.
I want to yell at somebody now.
Marnell, go ahead.
I will do mine because mine is kind of the same as yours, Brian. I loved the pigs. But I loved it for a different reason. I love because that's exactly what I said when they cornered them and chased him into the place with the walker hanging up. I'm like, oh, they are totally trying to poison the saviors. I love it. That's the
way I read it too.
Yeah, I'm like, they're trying to make them sick. This is the apocalyptic version of spitting in their food. Let's have all the pigs eat walkers and taint the meat. Tainted meat, Bob. Right? This is where they're going with that. I don't know if this is like their first time doing that, because the saviors mentioned that, oh, these pigs look bigger this time, they've been well fed. So I don't know if this is the first time they're trying it. So we'll see if people start getting sick from the meat, or if they're just trying to keep them sick, or if it doesn't work. But I love the idea of tainting the meat.
I think it's a good idea, but I don't think it's going to work. My husband and I were actually talking about it last night, and he mentioned the pigs from, was it the beginning of season 3? I think it was the beginning of season 3 when Rick was being Farmer Rick and raising pigs.
Oh, yeah.
But those pigs were brought down because of swine flu, and that's why the humans got sick. So I don't think it's going to work in this case.
So the other thing that I can see that it not working from is, like, every time that Daryl shoots a walker, I'm like, you need to sterilize that arrow, because if you're going to go and hunt deer or squirrel or whatever with it, I would think you would be just tainting the meat, if that's even possible, because, we already all know that we have the virus. So can you taint our meat? Bob seemed to think so. But so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what, if anything, it does, or if this is just the equivalent of spitting in somebody's drink.
All right. Well, Brian, get ready to argue.
Okay, yeah, I can't argue with that one.
So I just loved Ezekiel. That was my epic for this whole episode. I just thought that Kari Payton did such a great job bringing him to life. And I think my favorite part of his story was actually getting more of the backstory. He was a community theater actor, he was a zookeeper, and that's how he got Shiva. And I loved it when he slipped into his real voice and his real accent. And bear with me, Rob told Carol never bullshit a bullshitter. Because it was just classic to see him shift and say, yeah, I'm telling people the fairy tale, but that's what they need right now.
Yeah.
So I liked Ezekiel. I'm not going to argue with you there. I thought it was very cool. I thought it was neat. I just didn't think it needed to be right now.
And, you know, I don't entirely disagree with you. I think that it almost is like, well, and you both brought this up. It's kind of like all of a sudden we get the Morgan backstory in the middle of last season and it felt out of place. Yeah. So I can see how this felt out of place for you guys. I was overjoyed. I just really enjoyed the episode. And it was okay with me. It didn't have to flow, but I can see how it felt out of place.
Yeah.
No, I definitely, I really enjoyed his character as well. I thought it was cool the way he had something that worked for him, and that was important. He had a process, and he had a rank structure. People understood their place. They understood value. So who cares if he does it in a medieval time or if he does it like a French, or if he runs like the military? Who cares? It's working for him and his people. Mm-hmm. He's not oppressing anybody.
He is the antithesis of Negan. You know, there are two sides of the same coin. They're both, they have big theatrics and they're huge personalities, but, you know, one is sort of tries to be fair and just and wants to keep his people safe and everyone, you know, alive and things like that. And Negan, you know, is this big kind of militant character where if you step out of line, you're going to lose your hand, you know? So that's the way I kind of see them portraying both of these guys, is they're two sides of the same coin.
So that's a really good point. You know, the whole idea of a foil in literature is using one thing to illustrate another because they're so opposite. So I think you're right. I think that's exactly what they're doing.
Well, and if you want to dive a little further deeper into that, Negan, what you see is what you get. I mean, he's always going to give it to you straight. He'll never hamstring you in that, you know, if he tells you he's going to do something, he's going to do it. He's not going to do something else. And with Ezekiel, he isn't telling his people about this plot to maybe poison the meat that they're giving to the saviors to keep them safe. He's trying to keep the peace with everybody, but he's not giving them the whole story.
Okay, I'm going to table that for Rotting Potpourri too.
All righty. So are we moving on?
I think I might as well start with my bad, because I think I have very little as compared to the two of you. So my bad was Carol running away again. I find that storyline to be getting very tiresome, and I hope that we're reaching the end of it.
So when we do these triple podcasting things, I'm always going to agree with one of you, dang it.
Well, you can make that a three-peat because she was my fail too.
Oh, okay.
Oh, triple threat. She failed all three of us.
So, you know, I did want to say something about that being the fail and that storyline being the fail. I do think there's a bigger, deeper thing to it. I mean, we really are seeing in this character, okay, she's got deep unworthiness because of her history with Ed and because of her history as an abuse survivor. She's got deep unworthiness because of what she's done already in the 6 years that we've known the character. But, you know, going back to loving Ezekiel and quite shamelessly being a shipper, I really hope that Ezekiel is able to help her overcome that unworthiness, that he is able to help her find that worthiness in herself, so that we have Carol. So we have Carol as the badass we know she is, but so we don't have Carol who is tortured and self-loathing and keeps running away from everything.
Diane's team Carzekiel.
For me, Carol was just so agitating when from the first He, ho, ho. I love it. This is great. You're the king. Oh my gosh. Oh, yes. This is heavenly. Oh, just the whole thing about her was just so aggravating. And then she kept, as soon as I'm doing this, I'm leaving. God, how I wanted Morgan just to be like, then get the hell out of here then.
Yeah.
So
just go.
Wasn't her behavior with Ezekiel, though, at the initial audience, for lack of a better word, it was really reminiscent for me of the way that she was initially in Alexandria when she was so nice and making cookies for everybody.
Yep, absolutely.
But it was overdone. It was like, I don't know if the sleeping for 2 days she was off her game, or if the tiger threw her off her game or whatever. But it was like cartoonish almost.
But the kingdom was kind of cartoonish. Sorry, Bray.
No, I think I agree with Marnell here that I think she did it so obvious and blatant, and that's what pissed me off.
Yeah.
Is that she just was so and just laughing and just being such a little priss about it, and that's what's pissing me off.
Oh golly, gee willikers.
Yeah, but I think that's what made Ezekiel see right through her crap, and that's why you can't BS or he was just like, look, I see you exactly for what you are. And I think the other part of it was the townspeople didn't care either. I don't care if you're a badass, or I don't care if you're a homemaker. I don't care. Nobody here cares, Carol. Nobody cares.
Do you think that's because they don't know her, or do you think that's because either way they don't see her as a threat? They're secure in the kingdom.
They don't see her as a threat. Even if she is a good killer, they don't care. I don't care.
Interesting. And that gives us some insight to the kingdom, I think.
I kind of think that the kingdom is kind of over-sheltered a little by their king, but they can talk the talk when it comes down to brass tacks. They can walk the walk.
Well, and it also goes down to how they found her. They found her at the hands of a savior. So to them, and she had savior guns. So like Ezekiel said, you've encountered these people before. So you're already good with us because you've dealt with the saviors. So we know you're not one of them. So you have to obviously be then with us if you've been killing saviors.
Yeah, and I think that's actually why he kind of he wants to keep her around. He doesn't want her running off, and he gets her to move to the caretaker's home outside the cemetery instead of just leaving,
Well, why he wants to keep her around. Wink, wink.
Car Ezekiel.
Even Kari Payton said that on The Talking Dead, so.
But I also think that he sees that she knows enough about the world that she was trying to BS a BSer, and she was found with savior guns, and she can obviously take a hit, so I think that he has got a major end game when it comes to the saviors, and he knows that Carol and Morgan can help with that.
Good point.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do Marnell's epic fail then, since we all agreed on Carol was our fail.
My epic fail was, and it's a good epic fail. It's Ben. I do like the storyline where Morgan and Benjamin, but there's also I feel something hinky with Benjamin and his dad, or I think it's his dad or his parents dying, and Ezekiel was there, and there's just there's a backstory there that, I feel like something nefarious is going to come out of it, like Ezekiel had to kill his parents or something awful.
I was going to say, so let me ask you this. Would you be stunned if Ben is learning how to do this to ultimately kill Ezekiel?
Oh, I would be.
Yeah, there's something there that I can't put my finger on, and that I hadn't thought of that, but that's a really good alternative to, Ben being in the dark. Maybe Ben knows. So.
All right, not so bold prediction time. I think Morgan is going to stay in the kingdom, and I think that Ben and his son are the new Dwayne. I think that's what's going to root Morgan and bring Morgan back into the reality. And allow him to maintain his outlook that all life is precious, but still be the Morgan who's like, yeah, and yours not so much.
Yeah. And Morgan's a project guy. Morgan needs a project, whether it's trying to rehabilitate a wolf or, teaching this kid, Ben, what was the book?
A keto book.
The Art of Peace.
No, I think it was The Art of War, wasn't it?
No, it was The Art of Peace. It's the 5 practices of Aikido.
Are you sure?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm going to believe you and not Google that then. All right. Well, Brian, what's your epic fail? Because I will be honest and say, total ship or totally important, I didn't have one.
Mine was obviously leaving the Alexandria crew for another week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Having that rollover. I've already ranted enough about it, so we can move on.
Well, I think this is time for rotting potpourri then.
P-U-E.
It
smells like my undies.
I will prepare this time.
So I'm going to pull out some mythology because we didn't have a biblical reference this week. But when when Ezekiel was offering Carol the pomegranate,
yes,
I totally thought of Hades and Persephone because...
Well, you didn't read the note from Christine Bowman in the thing, did you?
No.
I thought Dianne responded to Christine. Was that you?
No, that was Brian. Yeah, that was Brian.
Oh. Yeah, Christine Bowman nailed it.
Well, so did she talk about Hades and Persephone, or did she have something else?
She did it in an extremely detailed breakdown here.
Well, I think maybe you should go ahead and read it then.
Well, do you want to, since it's in a girl's voice? You'll be narrating for her?
I don't have it open. Do you, Marnell?
I have a screenshot of her original post. There's some, her and Brian talk about it a little, but Christine Bowman says, "Hey guys, just wondering if anyone caught the Hades Persephone symbolism in the episode. Bear with me. In the mythology, Hades captures Persephone and takes her to the underworld because he is so lonely. She loves him but misses her family, and Persephone knew that if she ate or drank anything in the underworld, she would have to stay there forever. Her mother finds out where she is and demands for Persephone to be brought back. Hades agrees, but not before he offers Persephone one last thing to eat, a ripe, blood-red pomegranate. Looking at him in the eye, Persephone took 6 seeds and ate them. Hades lets her go back home, but because she ate 6 seeds, she has to return in 6 months. She later corrected herself to 6. It is 6 months because that's the season.
6 months a year. Yep.
Yeah. Not only did Ezekiel offer Carol a pomegranate, multiplied multiple times in the episode, the whole theme of going but not going reminds me of this myth. Not sure what it all means for the show, but I had to share and was hoping for your thoughts.
Yay, Christine. I totally agree.
Absolutely. I also thought of a biblical reference too, because a lot of scholars believe that the fruit on the tree of knowledge was actually a pomegranate and not an apple.
That.
So yeah. So, but that would put a whole new meaning on it, because that would mean that, Adam and Eve and they're sinning, and yeah, that's not where we're going with this episode. We're keeping it clean, Rob.
That's for the after hours discussion, right?
There you go.
That's talking biters.
So, yeah, that's for the webcam version. So one of my things that I noticed that I liked kind of all over the place was the kind of reaffirmation and the reassertion of King Ezekiel. If you looked on the walls of the buildings, they all had his quotes painted on them.
Oh, I noticed the one in the room about the well with Carol, but none of the others.
There was one in the cafeteria and stuff like that. It was something about the dead are alive, but not all alive or dead, or something like that. It's just these quotes, and it had KE for King Ezekiel. So that was kind of neat to see him putting those kind of, we call them motivational quotes. You see people in their cubes where they have these motivational quotes all over the place.
Yeah.
That's kind of what he was doing, is he was just kind of reminding everybody to think positive and to stay on the good path here. And that's kind of the whole taking from the well and replenish, hey, we're all part of a society and everybody has to work together. And it was all positive and upbeat, and then they were all from him. So I kind of like that he really had a process to his kingdom. And as silly as it was, it worked.
Well, and that goes back to my whole, he's the antithesis of Negan, because rather than, 50% of what's yours is mine, is we're all in this together. And when you drink from the well, you replenish the well, so he is just completely the antithesis of Negan.
And that brings me actually to my probably favorite series of lines from the whole episode, which is when Carol looks at him and says, "Why do you care?" And he says in his own voice, "'Cause it makes me feel good."
Mm-hmm.
So not only is the well being replenished by everybody being part of that group, but he's replenishing his own well by playing the role that he's playing. He's doing it because he feels good bringing that to other people.
That reminds me of Abraham Lincoln, who said, "My religion is doing good. When I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad." So
I think that's really accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my rotting potpourris, did everyone notice Morgan was still marking his way?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice callback.
Yeah, and he had put the little flag up on the mailbox, and then was it Carol? No, it was Morgan who saw Carol in the house, and he put the flag down.
Yep.
He had marked that mailbox. So
he put the number 18 on the post. Either of you have any idea why it was the number 18?
Maybe the 18th marker that he had set since he left Alexandria.
I can believe that. I don't have a better answer.
That would be a terrible idea, though.
Because then
now people know how many you made.
And it would be sequential and people would track.
Follow you back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just breadcrumbs for bad guys.
Maybe it's how many people he's killed.
There you go. Why?
I don't know. I just if he's numbering them, it makes sense to say so that way he knows how many he left. But then also, that is an extremely massive tactical error to do that.
He's got to have some sense. Because the other things weren't numbers, were they? They were more
they were symbols. Weren't they circle when they were basically bullseyes? They were circles with the crosshairs.
I thought he was making an arrow, but it was pointing in the opposite direction of which he was going.
Huh.
Yeah. That's what I thought I saw.
Okay, biters, we need some help.
Regardless, he's marking shit up again.
Yes, he is. And I thought that was a nice callback to previous seasons. I also, did you guys see the goats right at the beginning when he was wheeling Carol through?
I didn't.
I was like, oh, the goats, Matilda, right? I can't remember the goat's name.
Oh, that's right.
And then he did make the reference to the cheesemaker. It was really funny because when Ezekiel was asking him who taught him, I was watching this with my husband and our niece who's visiting right now, and I said, a cheesemaker, and then and then Morgan said a cheesemaker, and they both looked at me and started cracking up. I said, yeah, I am a total geek.
That's funny.
I thought it was... I enjoyed those callbacks. Those were definitely callbacks to Eastman and to that episode.
Yeah. So, okay, if you Google Morgan symbols The Walking Dead and go to images, it's a circle with an X in it. Yeah.
Okay, I stand corrected. I sit corrected.
I am going to look for that on the rewatch, though. So, maybe. We'll see.
So, was anybody else shipping Morgan and Carol? I totally thought that was the direction things were going to go.
Why do we keep putting Carol with people? First it was Carol and Daryl, then it was Carol and Morgan, now it's Carzekiel. Carol just needs to be on her own. Strong, single, independent woman.
She was all horned up for old what's-his-face in the prison.
And then the dude...
Then he got shot in the head.
Wasn't there a dude
Axel.
in Alexandria,
Axel.
too?
And then
That's
Tobin
right.
in Alexandria.
Tobin.
Yeah.
See? That's why we keep putting her with people, because she's trying to get on people.
and all of us, well, not all of us, but many of us wanted to see the Daryl Carroll thing happen, and there's no chance because Daryl is so messed up now.
He's broken. Yeah. Which, the title of the next episode
is The Cell.
The Cell. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, please let it be my dirty redneck. Please let it be my dirty redneck.
I think Brian's right. I think it goes back to Morgan's cell.
Morgan's cell.
The cell that Morgan was building in Alexandria. There's going to be something happening with that.
Think so?
You brought it up.
I think that'll come later. No, I think that'll come later. I think that's where Negan will wind up being, is in that jail.
But you brought it up when you were talking with Thomas, right?
Yeah.
I thought so. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think the cell it's going to be Daryl and Dwayne, or whatever his name is. Dwight.
Yeah.
It's going to be them. I think their whole purpose here is to completely brainwash Daryl into being a bad guy.
Oh.
100%.
I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know that I can buy that.
If you want to save your people, then this is what you're going to do.
I can't buy what you're throwing down, Brian. I can't.
So do you think that Daryl would go along with that to save his people, or do you
want me to kill your people? Because I'll kill them right now, and I will take you to watch me kill them, because I will.
Well,
because he's going to be the back there. He's going to see all the resources. Yeah. And he's going to see everything that they have.
Rick was going to cut Carl's hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to hate this.
It's going to happen. Daryl's going to be a bad boy for a little bit.
Bold prediction.
Daryl was bad when he was, before the series started. He was halfway bad with the bikers. He's going to be bad again.
This could be very tortured.
Yeah, this could be a dark, dark season.
Well, it's supposed to be a dark, dark season. I think this is the one moment of lightness that those of us who were shippers and 5 out of 5ers get.
Yeah. I just keep seeing the meme, brace yourself, winter's coming. I'm like, oh, brace yourself, Negan is coming.
So, speaking of Negan, here's what I think. So, when they were getting the pigs, the one guy looked at Morgan and he said, we don't have to tell anyone back home about this. And Morgan was like, the pigs? And he's like, none of this. So I actually really strongly believe that Ezekiel is keeping this totally hidden from all but a few key people in the kingdom. I don't think overall the people from the kingdom really know about the Saviors or know about the deal about the deal with the Saviors.
He talked about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed him talking about it.
Okay, because that's what I was saying about how Ezekiel is sort of keeping the secret from his people.
Absolutely.
As Negan is upfront about everything, but I think it's going to come back to bite him in the keeping everything from the kingdom. Even though I think that the kingdom can kind of handle themselves, but I say that knowing now that I have not seen the Savior's camp. So
I've got to tell you, they looked pretty hardcore in the cold open. I really enjoyed watching the beheadings and the person getting the zombie getting piked through the head, and it really
that face-off one.
Yes.
Loved it.
So the phrase that Ezekiel used to Morgan was that a lot of people see secrets as God dang it, now I blew it. They see secrets as a right of privilege, as a part of royalty. But secrets are a burden.
Yeah.
So this is
my price to pay, my cost.
His burden is keeping Negan, keeping everybody separate from Negan, keeping Negan hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, talking about Negan and talking about Morgan, sorry, I'm talking over you, or talking about Negan and talking about Ezekiel, how does our group get back in touch with our survivors who went to the kingdom? How do they reunite? Oh, you're right, because Jesus knows how all of these different groups tie together. Good call.
Yeah.
Jesus he'll be there at a meeting with Morgan and them, and he'll say, Negan just found a new group, Alexandria. Rick is their leader. And then Carol and they're going to be like, what? And be like, he actually killed Glenn and this person. Then they're going to be like, we need to go back there And then that's when the tribes are all going to come together, and then he's going to start making bullets, and then all the tribes people are going to get guns. And then when they go on delivery day, all the tribes are going to kill all of Negan's men that come get all the food. And then Negan's going to come looking for him, or they're all going to raid Negan's compound. And he's going to be like, what are you kidding me? And then they're all going to pull out guns and start spraying bullets everywhere. And then that's how it's going to be.
Brian's looking into my crystal ball because I see this too. I see that Ezekiel saw these outside people who had experience with the Saviors, and he immediately let these outsiders in on his secret. There are a handful of people in the kingdom that had this, that knew this secret, and Ezekiel immediately shares it with them. And so he's working towards some sort of end game that involves taking down the Saviors and Negan. And so he is going to get together with Hilltop and Alexandria, and they are just all going to go in and smash it.
So this plays very close to the comic book, as people who read the comic book know. But the way that you propose it, Marnell, is evolving in a somewhat different way. And I think your point that Ezekiel recognized them and immediately let them in on a secret he hasn't shared with most of his people is a really good point. And I feel really stupid for missing that.
Well, that's what we're here for.
Thank God. The two of you keep me honest. I keep you in the numbers and you keep me honest.
Absolutely. And now the listeners have all of it.
All right. Anything else in the Rotten Potpourri?
Of course.
All right. Keep going.
Go ahead.
I have two great quotes. Okay. So Brian and I, well, actually all three of us agree that Carol was just way over the top, and her hokey pokey, oh, gee willikers, but I absolutely love when she's like, I don't know what the hell is going on in the most wonderful way.
Right.
Oh, I lost it. Like, I was just like, that was so awful. It was great.
But I think in part it was kind of genuine too. I mean, I think she was just trying not to lose it.
I think she was smiling so she wouldn't grimace, because you're confronted with this guy with this huge tiger, and he's speaking Shakespearean, and did I really wake up 2 days for am I still in this crazy dream? But my other quote is from Ezekiel that I absolutely love. Like, I hope to see it written on a wall. He says, people can set you in the right direction, but they can't show you the way.
Oh, I like that.
I just think that was a great quote.
When did he say that?
He said it to Morgan at some point.
Were you even watching this episode?
I guess not, man.
Okay, so Brian and I each watched it once, and you watched it twice.
I was distracted. I have a post-op patient and my niece. I was totally distracted. No, that's great. I totally missed that. So see,
my company where I was watching The Walking Dead with the company over, and they were like, "You're serious about this podcasting thing?" Because I'm sitting here with a yellow notepad scribbling stuff down.
Welcome to our world.
Yeah, it's homework, but it's fun. So, Brian, you had more writing potpourri.
Shiva's CGI was a wee bit clunky.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, though. It was a wee bit clunky, but it wasn't bad. I expected worse.
But if you are the number one show on Sunday nights, making tons of cash, this, to me, is the damn green balloons.
Okay, wait. Shiva was CGI?
You didn't know she was CGI? Did you really think Shiva was a tiger?
I think that I may have just been overwhelmed.
Were you even watching this show?
I didn't take notice. All eyes were on Ezekiel, thank you.
So I just want to point out that Shiva in Hindu religion is a god, not a goddess, and Shiva is both the destroyer and the creator.
Yes.
Not quite sure how all that factors. And the tiger.
Well, Ezekiel does have, Ezekiel was a prophet, and so we actually do have a lot of biblical references. You didn't know that?
Yeah, I totally didn't put that together either. Not watching the show. Totally not paying attention.
Wait, what show are we podcasting?
Well, so I had another piece of running potpourri. I really liked Bear McCreary's score. I thought that he did a really nice job of weaving in some kind of medieval sounding music into the kingdom. I thought that was a really nice touch. And I actually thought, God, I recognize that song that the people in the kingdom are singing. I looked it up. It was actually a Waylon Jennings song.
Yep.
So,
yeah, that was one of the headlines I read today that was like only The Walking Dead could do a choir of Waylon Jennings.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And having sung as a madrigal singer way in a former life, I just really appreciated the music. It was a lot of fun.
So let's go back to the Benjamin kills Ezekiel thoughts.
Okay.
So Benjamin, to me, how do you go from being so terrible with a machete, then once you put the bow in your hand, 2 hours later, you're friggin' Donatello there?
Wax on, grasshopper.
So, to me, that shows that he is playing dumb.
Oh.
Yeah, like I said, there's something off with Benjamin, and I just can't put my finger on it. So
He's playing dumb with weapons.
Yeah.
And I think he is going to kill somebody in that village.
Anybody think he might be a savior plant?
Yeah, I can believe that.
But see, I don't know, because he knew his dad, but his dad worked with Ezekiel before.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't know if he's a plant.
Maybe not a plant, but kind of he is going to get in with the saviors by, being their eyes and ears in the kingdom and circumventing any, plots against them.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that. I think Benjamin blames Ezekiel for his father's death.
I think you're right.
And it's going to come back at some point.
He was like, I know, like he had to be really bored, having read everything in the kingdom twice, but he was like super insistent on wanting to read Morgan's book. And I just, there's something really off with the kid. Like everything that he did, I was like, that doesn't seem right.
And Morgan was even hesitant to give him that book. Morgan didn't want to, but he kept pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah. But I think Morgan's afraid to become another Eastman. I think Morgan is starting to question the influence that Eastman had in his life. I think Morgan is starting to question his whole all life is precious, I'm not killing anything outlook. And I think he doesn't want to impart that to somebody else. I'm not arguing that there's something off with Benjamin, and I'm not arguing against the fact that we're going to see something nefarious out of him. But I think Morgan's hesitancy comes from just thinking that he doesn't want to be another Eastman.
I did like how Morgan pulled his gun on the savior really quick. And then he realized what he was doing, and then he confronted Ezekiel about it. I was like, is that the only reason you brought me is because I'd do it again? And he's like, no, my brother, quite the opposite.
Yeah, I really, it's funny. We see Carol and Morgan diverging where, Carol is no longer the baddie that, she used to be. She's kind of crumbling. And Morgan's coming back because I was getting really annoyed with Morgan's whole I'm not going to kill anything BS.
As were we all.
So, yeah, I'm really happy to see Morgan coming back because he was such a strong character. I mean, from season 1, he was such a strong character, and to see him, go all Zen Buddha and be like, I'm not going to kill anything because all life is precious. It's like, you need to eat and you need to live, so you best get to stepping.
Can I just point out that Carol's horse at the end of the episode looks just like our mayor?
Oh.
So I don't have anything else in mind. You guys go for it.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to Jen Pollard. She also reached out and she said, is it bad that not even the promise of a tiger is enough to satisfy me after that first episode? More Team Rick.
She's another 2.5er.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you rated it that high.
Well, I did like Ezekiel.
Okay.
I liked it. I genuinely liked his character and what they're doing in his camp, and I get it. It's cool. I dig it.
It's just the timing.
Just a terrible timing.
Okay.
It's like your kid walking in on you. Like, what are you doing? It's just like, you could have came in like 15 minutes later, kid.
my god, that's so funny.
I don't think Morgan has forgiven himself for Eastman's death. I think he holds himself responsible for everything.
Yes.
I think he holds himself responsible for Carol's new thought process and direction, and he's trying to stop her from being that way now. I think he feels sorry for the wolf. I think he holds himself responsible for the doctor's death. I think he holds himself responsible for everything up to this point.
So is the weight of his guilt going to play into the weight of Daryl's guilt?
Oh, Daryl's screwed.
Yeah, I mean, but
100% responsible.
are they going to drag each other down? I guess that's kind of where I'm headed with that.
No, I don't think they have too much interaction. I mean, at least before. Maybe they'll start a group therapy, but
maybe they're going to start the first Al-Anon group for Alexandria.
I was really surprised at how quickly Morgan agreed to take Benjamin under his wing. I mean, I guess maybe if the king asked you to do something and he's been so generous to you that, this is the part you play in the kingdom. This is him. But he doesn't seem to want to be an influence in anybody's life anymore. I think he's like, I don't even know myself, So I was really surprised at how quickly he agreed to take Benjamin under his wing.
Well, I think it's just he knows there's a really good thing here and he does not want to mess it up.
Yeah.
So if the kid asks you to teach this kid to be a Ninja Turtle, then you teach him how to be a Ninja Turtle.
I think we stop calling him Benjamin and just call him Donatello from now on. I think that's right.
Oh, see, I was calling him the Karate Kid. Is so
well, Karate Kid never used a bow staff.
Right on, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
The one thing I will say too is Chris Hardwick is a puppet now. I used to like him, but now I'm just done. Like
really?
you can tell.
It's group therapy. I like it.
Yeah, I'm to the point where he's not honest anymore.
Aww.
He's not saying anything against the episode or against something that happens. He's just like, wow, that was a really great episode. We needed that emotional break from the last episode. Whoo-wee. And I'm just like, nope, we're done.
You're like, quit reading the teleprompter and tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, you douche. I'm done with your ass.
Chris, I love you. I watch at midnight. I listen to the Nerdist.
Oh, no. Chris Hardwick, I loved you on G4 TV when you were doing tech reviews. That's when you were cool, pal.
Chris, I'm Switzerland.
I used to watch you on Singled Out, so whatever.
Ooh.
Okay, you've totally just geeked beyond me, man.
So if we're giving fan shout outs, thank you to Cindy Patton and Kevin Michael for their great feedback on me. I really appreciate it. Other than the other podcast that I host with Dianne sometimes.
God, we better get back to that.
I am I'm brand new to podcasting, so it's really good to get good feedback. So if you have good feedback for me or Dianne or Brian or the show, if you have bad feedback, keep it to yourself. But give us a like or a post or a comment or something on the page because it really keeps us doing this. And I think we're going to lose Brian if you don't. He's like on life support.
And I also want to say, don't forget to like us and leave a review on iTunes. I haven't looked in forever, but that's a nice way to get more people listening to us.
What the hell's in iTunes?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Just leave it up to us Mac users. It's okay.
No, I'm all Mac all the time.
Oh, okay. Well, right on. There you go, man. Well, if we're doing shout-outs, I just want to say, Tom... Oh, hold on. I lost my...
You just want to say hello to your microphone and drop it and throw it on the floor.
My microphone kind of had a little moment.
That's her mic drop.
Yeah. Boom. We're done.
I just want to say boom.
I want to say thank you to Thomas Reese because I really enjoyed him being on the podcast. I really enjoyed the boys episode, the boys versus girls. We may have to do that again.
Yeah.
I also was really impressed that he was able to dig up where the title from last episode came from.
That was quite a hat trick, Thomas. That way to go.
And thank you for keeping Brian a little bit in line by doing some numbers and doing a cast member.
Because I won't.
And yes, I am that Dianne in the witness protection program, so thank you for bringing up that story too. That was pretty funny. I had actually forgotten exactly how the rating system evolved, but I thought it was fun and I wanted to keep it. So
well,
there you go, folks.
Just want to say one more thing real quick before we sign out.
Oh my God, lady.
I know. We're at 1:13, 1 minute 13, and I'm going to say one more thing.
I pissed my pants.
You think we're talking so that people would listen.
I know. So I just showed this thing on the Biters page because I thought it was really funny. It's a Teddy the dog t-shirt. If you guys haven't seen those, they're awesome. And this is Teddy the dog dressed up as Negan carrying Lucille. So get one. I know I'm going to.
I would like it, but I would like it as the page. I haven't quite figured out how to not be the page. I need to be me on the page. So I would like it, but I would like it as the page, and the page should not like its own post.
That's a douche move. You have to do it from the computer. On the right, there's a drop down that says "as Brian Eikenberry" or whatever. I mean, if it says "as Brian Eikenberry" for you, then I guess you're impressive. But
I tried to do that, but I don't think I hit save. I think I just hit the back button.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
You damn girls.
All right, Brian, why don't you lead us out?
All right, let's take it one day at a time. I have no idea why you guys pause in there. Thomas, I love you. I miss you.
I think Brian and I were on with that, but Diane and I were still off.
Oh my God. All right, on that note, guys, give us feedback. Bye. Let us know what you want to hear. And Brian and Marnell, have a great week.
Peace. You too. That is all, folks.